I'm tempted to want to call him Mixer. We should just call his name Mixer. Like one of the best in Nigeria, arguably one of the best in Africa. Music producer, vocal producer, is a singer, is a songwriter. When it has to do with sound, is a sound bender. If you know what I mean. Ladies and gentlemen, we have in the studio Olaitan Dada. I mean, have you met people who just call your name with phone Olaitan Dada?
Yeah, when they first meet me. A lot of people actually.
So would you prefer Olaitan Dada?
I'm a native person.
So tell me, how African are you? Are you the kind of guy that would say, you know what, maybe you want to serve my food, you have to kneel down and
that's what happened. No, that one I'm not that pro-African. No, not at all.
Western enter that one.
I try to save people I can as much as possible from too much tradition.
Right.
Sometimes if you're too traditional, you don't know when you've crossed the line and left spirituality. So I don't want traditional influences on my spirit as much as possible.
Nice one. But how much influence can the traditional have in your music production-wise?
Well, I'm a Yoruba boy, and I love a lot of sounds that come from the Yoruba land: the gong, the shekere, the omele, bata, odu. And there's just something about that groove that you can't take away. If music producers want to tell you about, a production, and they want to talk about quantizing to beats and making sure everything is on point, the Yoruba groove is not on point. And that's the definition of the groove. In fact,
it's deliberate.
If you go to all these wedding receptions and parties, and then you see all these guys that just, the band, and then they just start grooving. There's just something. And you're hearing you're like, and you can't help it. Your shoulders are moving, your bum is rocking, you're sitting down, you're not even stand. They start slow, but there's just that swagger that they give. It's off time,
especially the percussion.
The percussions you can't. So I love that influence in music I create. I mean, I try to be a producer all through and through, but then when it comes to that, I give it all I can.
Fabulous. Now let me ask this. For some people who really understand music and know music, they have a hard time in church sometimes. And let me tell you what I mean. So you go to church, maybe a new church, maybe not even your church, and it's time for the choir to sing, or maybe praise and worship. And lo and behold, our music director, our worship leader is just building flats.
3 bedroom, 4
even duplexes now, just going off, and it's just a mess. The instrumentalists are probably not in sync as well. The drummers are just not disciplined. There's just a lot going on, and you're supposed to be lifting your hands to worship God. For some people who wouldn't understand music so well, it kind of messes with the flow. So for you, how, I'm sure you must have experienced it at some point or the other. How does
a lot actually? There was a time that I had to nickname it the musician's curse. Like is the curse. Your brain is wired to hear music in a certain way and listen and watch out for flats and sharps and and even if you know a song and you know it through and through, and then somebody messes up with the arrangement and it's wrongly done, and you're supposed to be engaged in the worship because it's familiar to you, and all of a sudden you just hear something that makes you open one eye and you're like, what just happened right now? Did you really just do that? And it brings you all, when you're floating in the clouds, you just land back to it like bam. So I call it, it's a hard thing to do for a musician. I think that's why Nathaniel Bassey said recently that musicians should try to be excellent in their craft, and I think they should understand if we understand that there are gateways for souls to connect, then we'll take it more seriously. And yeah.
Fantastic. The musician's curse.
Yeah, musician's curse, man. Just imagine, you light up my world, don't miss you. I have to open eye.
What's going on here?
Peter hears this. Peter will just. I left. Yes. I left. I can't remember whether it's 1 or 2 years ago now, but I no longer sing within his image, but we're friends.
Okay.
And, why did you laugh?
A-Cube.
These people are very. I miss singing within his image, and I sang within his image for 17 years of my life. Yes. Wow. So, if there's anyone that knows about missing the group, it's me.
Sounds like a breakup story.
No, not really. But
I'm boys to men.
I just got to the point that, and I'd fought with this for a long time, but a lot of things were not happening as we wanted it to happen, and I'll just say it out there. I just started having a guilt feeling of, I've been blessed to share messages, and if Christ comes and he now says, okay, so why didn't you? Then I now say, because we weren't ready. And that's now totally on me. It was a choice that I made. So at a point in time, I had to come to a point of realization that, okay, give this excuse, which will not fly. Or, you know what, step aside and then continue spreading the message. And that's what I did. That's what I did.
So it might be safe to assume that they were not, in his image was not on that pace that
you know how it is, 20 friends, 20 years. We all got married, we all started working. I was just fortunate, really, that my work now happened to be around the same music, place.
But does the group still exist?
I should think so.
That's interesting.
What's wrong with you, man? It's a funny story, actually. So one day I was recording Waje in the studio, and I think Jeannie came around as well. And just towards the end of the session, I think we were working on what's this song now? In the Air. The one she released, we're recording the vocals. And I just felt numb on my left arm. And I couldn't feel it. And so the session literally stopped. Everybody was panicking. It was like, I can't feel my left arm. It just went numb. So in a couple of minutes, I started to feel again. And they said, that I shouldn't take it lightly. I should go to the hospital. So I rushed to the hospital. Don't let me mention names. I rushed to the hospital, and they were like, "Oh, you went numb, but as a sign of this. Don't let me start putting causes on myself." That they had to rush. So they rushed me into ICU. They started ECG. They were just running different tests, and I was just looking at them that you don't know. I've got those things that you're doing. You cannot scare me. They were just running different things, and they kept checking and saying there was nothing. They couldn't find anything, but that just to be safe, I had to spend the night in the hospital. And so I was in the ICU through the night. And so while I lay down, the song just came. It was weird. It was the weirdest thing ever. I just said, "You're the sweetest song I hope to sing." So I brought out my phone. I was using notes then. So I started writing on my phone. Feel it was from deep within. I said, if I forget this, because songs come to me like that, and then I'll say, okay, I'll record it. Then the next morning, what did it sound like again? I can't remember. So I brought out my phone and then did a voice sample recording as quiet as I could. And the next morning, I called Cobams. I'm like, Cobams, there's this song that came to my head. So I sang it to him. I was like, wow, I see where you're going with this. This is fantastic. The melody is fantastic. It's catching. You know what? You can call some songwriters, call this person, call that person to help you flesh up the verse. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. And so I dropped the phone. Then I went to the bathroom to have a bath. And then the words started coming to me. Meeting you was fresh for me. What was the next line again? Something I felt a symphony. When as beats turned to bars, I moved from Earth to Mars. And so I called him back. I'm like, I'm still going to call these people, but see what just came to me. So I read him and I said, what do you think about the words? Because Cobhams is a great songwriter. I was like, Lighton, don't call anybody again.
This is it.
Just allow. This is definitely the Spirit whispering these words to you. Take it and write it. And I'm like, okay, I won't call anybody again. And between then and when I got to the studio that morning, I'd finished writing the song.
Wow.
And I got to the studio and I went, okay, guys, Joseph, Yinka, you carried guitar, you carried piano. Let's do a demo. This is the song, this is the progression. And they were like, wow, it's great. So then we started recording the demo. And just as we were finishing the demo, Waje walked in. And so she stood at the door. And I was just recording. What you heard was demo. It's only the BGVs that I recorded later. And so she was like, so that's my song, Abby. I ain't giving you this one. She said, no, we're going to fight. This one, that one. If you don't give me this song, this is my song. I said, nah, I ain't giving you this one. Then I released it.
Wow, interesting to see how where that came from. Because when you hear the song, you want to think it probably came from one of those very good moments where oh my God has been so good. Like God has been so good, man. So like that season of bliss. I mean, you probably just got a record deal. That's why now you're feeling the sweetness of God. Like, but to think that this came at that point is just very, very, very interesting.
It was different, and it was weird. The testimonies that followed almost immediately. I started getting calls from people. Once we released it, there was a lady who called me and was crying that she had been looking for she had been hoping to God to get a visa to travel out to get a job employment for 2 years and nothing happened. And when she heard the song, she just thought to herself that, let me worship the song with this song for the whole day. And by nightfall, she got a call that she had not just gotten a call, she should just go to the embassy and that she should just tell them who she is and her visa will be ready. All in 24 hours. I got different calls, different testimonies. Some people said they had found the perfect wedding vow song. Some people called to ask me, did you write it for
God
or
for
your wife? And I'm like, it's a song of relationships. If it helps you go closer to God, I'm fine. If it helps you go closer to your wife, I'm fine. It was just sent to me.
Okay, so now you mentioned the name Waje a number of times. I want to assume you guys are friends, good friends.
Well, yeah, I'm friends with quite a lot of people. Well, she's a friend.
So now, considering a producer like you have produced a lot of people. We had Thelma Benson here yesterday, by the way.
Yeah, special woman.
She was talking said a lot of good things about you, about how the song Atog Bojo, in fact, not just the song, but her entire solo career took a jump, when she met you, basically, and what your influence has done with the music. And pretty much her career is still starting off in some way. She's probably less than 3 years old in the game. But for some people who you've done this for like decades ago, possibly decades ago, they can't blow. After a couple of years, they're big out there. Sometimes some artists probably don't even appreciate where they started off from, or appreciate where they got their major leap from. I don't know if you've experienced anything like that, where
artists that question,
you just say, bros, please, I do have, please, and then you just do all that, invest in them. They think they have talent and stuff, and that is like literally it. They don't even look back or even give any kind of credit whatsoever.
Like I said, this thing we are shaking. Because I mean, it's not something that has happened. It's something that is still happening,
right?
And I've initially, there was one that happened that pained. When you say you had pain, I had pain as a very popular artist who literally started his career from my studio, and but I got to a point of forgiveness, and I forgave and let it go. But it has happened not once, not twice with some other people, and then I just keep getting to the point that, wait, am I really trying to get accolades for this? You know what? Maybe I should stop trying to hold on and just, I've had a positive influence in your life. It has moved to this level. Just let it go. I'm not even talking about people that come to pay for production. I'm talking about people that you say, you know what, let me invest.
Support.
And literally invest. You know, even money, time, everything, not just support. And, you know, it's just, I think that's what it means by giving and not looking back. Yeah. So I'm on a learning curve as well.
Because that really applies to not just you, but maybe a lot of other people as well in various areas where you are in that position to help people, and they promise you heaven and earth, saying they can't afford stuff, and promise you heaven and everything, and then you just realize that. Am I the one that remembers what happened? Is it just me? Have you forgotten already? You know.
Yet again, it's not really their fault. At the same time, it's the system in the country is not favoring producers, sound engineers, mixing and mastering engineers. Because if the system did favor, I mean, before you even start anything, you get to sign royalties, this, that. So whether they blow and they move on, you continue getting your percentage from the blow. It's not.
Nobody has to chase anybody.
It's because the system isn't right.
Wow.
That's why there is that disparity.
So talking about systems now,
this has been one of the things that have been pushed to people that I think has blindsided people from the original goal. Now, a lot of people try to put you in a box and saying that you're a gospel person. Why are you now doing this? Why are you now doing that? Just imagine that at a point in time, Tosin Martins was nearly crucified for singing Olomi. And just recently had a concert where he said, okay, I'm going to bring up a surprise and I'm going to do a Low Me at my love concert, which was on February 14, I think. And eventually the person who played the trumpet came out playing the trumpet, and guess who it was? Uncle Nathaniel Bassi. And so everybody's screaming, and then you're now wondering, okay, so now you can appreciate, but then you were nearly killing this man for doing something he was led to do. Like I said, your calling, what were you called to do? Now, some people have been called to carry messages to the church, and in a couple of weeks to months, I'll be dropping an EP that a lot of people are going to be like, is that Olaitan Dada? No, it's not possible. But I know the message I know the power of music. I know what I've been blessed with, and I know the direction of what my message should speak about and what it can't speak about. Now, gospel music is because of the message on the music. There's really no genre. They are creating. Why don't we have a genre called secular music? So you have jazz, you have disco, you have pop, you have R&B, and then they are now forcing gospel. No, if anything
but
at all, there was a
genre called gospel.
No, yes, that's why I said they are forcing the gospel. Initially, there was a genre called Negro spirituals. Now that was different. Then you can sing gospel, R&B, jazz, hip hop, pop, Afrobeat, but there's no genre called secular. And so that's the box that they're trying to put it in, so that they can close that angle and push this gospel, we're not going to play it.
So just let it be in this
just let it so they can play the other ones. Meanwhile, the gospel is spread across all the other genres. So I don't see that. I just see message on a genre. And so what is the message? Is your message good? Is it bad? Now, at the points where I'm led to say Jesus is Lord, of course I do. At points where I'm led to say, talk about love, talk about peace, talk about hope, of course I will. But then, love, peace, hope are virtues of gospel, though not necessarily gospel music.
Right.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So now, getting to the wider space now outside of Olaitan Dada, the Nigerian Christian music, what would you say about the way it sounds right now? It's been a long way coming, yeah? But where we are right now, how far are we? How generally, let's just try to generalize right now, how does the Nigerian gospel, where are we right now?
Our musicality has improved like 700% from past years. Yes, you have to be real with that. I mean, trap music, R&B, live sound, everything has gotten like, what's happening? You hear some chord progression, they're like, wow. These people you hear syncopations, they're like, wow, they're doing it. I want to see. They're doing it. But my concern is where it's coming from. That's my concern. You see, gospel. That's why I said I didn't want to shake it.
No, this day was very strong. Very strong.
Gospel music, as to an extent, while some ministers have been in a place of receiving, some ministers have been in a place of following and replicating, and that's a problem for me. Worship is worth selling. Let's do worship. Okay, so let me now do worship. Then they now carry worship and then they now make it, let's do it format. Now, what do I mean by format? It's something I was sharing recently. You see, when you want lifting of hands, you do the la.
Good minor.
Why are you laughing? You do the la. So anything that you do that ends on the la, for instance, let me just give you one like. Through it all, Jesus, you are through it all. Through it all. You see, you are lifting hands. Yeah. Through it all. La notes. You're speaking of tongues. And you're like, wait. My God is not a God of just one direction. Why is everybody now singing in this direction?
Did we also talk about the drum? Dum.
Oh my brother, you see, we are shaking people. You've forgotten the guitar.
Oh, that's it.
If you want to sustain worship, you stay on the fa. On the fourth. That fourth is guaranteed you to sustain. So I now come from a place of, yes, there's excellence, there's musicianship, but the message, where is it coming from? Nathaniel Bassey, like I said, shared something recently about, being careful not to spend time in the place of receiving, spend time in your quiet place rather than replicating, and or changing your the revelations to mean your own things. To be a gospel music minister is not singing. No, singing is 10%. Singing is literally 10%. I mean, you heard Thelma's story. I listened to her interview the other day of how the song came. Yeah. I had an experience recording Gloria Brima once, and during this experience, she was in the studio. I was battling with, I'd been told to relocate from my current studio. I couldn't find a space. I didn't have the money. I didn't have anything. And I was like, God, is this how I'll be embarrassed? I would just be told to leave, by people who, I didn't know it was God that was even sending me away from that place. That's another story. And I'd been asking God for an answer, and she came to the studio. Usual studio session, everybody is concerned about your words, your articulation, remembering the notes, how you're going to deliver in front of the mic. And, we had done 6 takes of this song. She's yet to release it. And the 7th one, I literally heard, record just the verse 1. You don't need the rest. You don't need to record the rest. So I'm thinking, why? What? I don't need to record the rest. What's that? Get it behind me. I will press record. And literally, she started singing the verse 1. And then she was about to enter the chorus. And I was, focused because she was standing beside me. I was focused on the screen like, okay, I'm getting good takes. All I heard was on the floor. And this was Gloria Brima on the floor, spinning and screaming. And it was a surreal experience because I I was so scared. I couldn't even stop the recording. I was just looking at her. And then she was screaming and speaking in tongues. And she was just screaming and speaking in tongues. And speaking in tongues and speaking in tongues. And she was turning on the floor and turning on the floor. And then she started interpreting the words.
Wow.
Turning on the floor and screaming, "Who am I to open a door and any man wants to close? You shall see doors, lots of doors.
Wow.
There shall open doors that no man can close.
Wow.
Because you have chosen to exalt my name above yourself, you shall see doors." And literally, and she called and she was talking to me.
To you.
And I was scared. And then she now started talking about the song, because it happened twice. So she got out of it and she was now crying and screaming, "Why are you doing this to me, God? Why are you doing this to me?" And again she went and started. So it was the recording that I had to play back for her to hear the revelations that came, because she didn't know. That's a studio session. I mean, that can only happen when you surrender yourself for real use. She could have been informing, "Oh, you know what? Let's be smart about this. Let's correct this. Let's focus on the song." But right there, while recording, she was worshiping, and the Spirit took over her. And that was the day that I knew. In fact, 2 other people came that same day to my studio, and they revealed. One of them came, the mother of one of my assistant producers, and she left and came back running. And when she ran back to the studio and she was screaming, "Sir." And I said, "Who is she calling sir?" And she was saying, "Sir, I need to congratulate you. God bless you." And she was speaking. I said, "I saw doors, a lot of doors. Congratulations." And she was just speaking about. And I said, "Guys, God has settled this." And the day before final day of that year, that I said, "God, I give it to you." They called me and said, "Okay, this property is yours. Come move into it." And that's where the new studio is right now. And it has a lot of doors.
Wow.
And since we moved in there, doors have not stopped opening.
Hallelujah.
So where I'm going to is, there's a place of spending time. There's no how. If you are a gospel minister, spend time in the place of meditation with God, and lyrics, music that hasn't He promised that He shall give, that eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, nor has it come into the minds of men. The reason why is because you're supposed to spend time so that it can come into your mind fresh.
Yeah.
And then you can now release rather than replicating. And so that's where my concern is currently for music. How many of them can really say that they are spending that time to be able to release what has been given
to them?
I'm not saying that there are not. Don't get me wrong. And I will never say that. Of course, there are many ministers that... One of the people I respect a lot, Peter, when he sings me any song that he just wrote, I'm like, How did this come to you? This sincerity. Have you heard this song? This song he did. You come to me now. Jesus, you are the one. Jesus, you are the Son. I am nothing without you. Do you know that was a demo take? Yes, it wasn't a take. It was just a demo take. And he sat down in the studio and he was recording it until he burst into tears. And he cried and cried while singing. He was pushing himself to sing and he was crying because he meant every word. And when he was done, I said, "That's your take." He said, No, that was just demo. He was cleaning tears. I said, "That's the take. That is real. That is worship. That's the conduit that people need to be able to connect to worship God." And I remember he gave testimony of when he was shooting the video, and the videographers, the ladies that were helping out, everybody was crying while the video shoot was going on. So I think...
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very profound. I mean, just a really good way to climax the interview. Somewhere that I think even those listening to the show who are not into music need to step into. In your career, in your business, you need to get to that place of seeking God's face and getting to receive.
It's so easy to listen to Praiseworld Radio, Africa's #1 online gospel radio station on the go. Simply whip out your phone, go to your app store, search for Praiseworld Radio, download the app, now install. That's it. Launch the app to tune in anytime by tapping the icon. Guess what? It doesn't even burn your data. With less than 15 MB, you can stay tuned for 1 hour. Isn't that cool? You can also enjoy lots of interesting features by navigating the app. So, what are you waiting for? Download the Praiseworld Radio app today.